We're the Starks. I am sorry, let me switch it over. Starks from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Members of Team RWB now for 6 years. My background is in the restaurant industry. I work for a sustainable dining and a concept in outside of Philadelphia. And then I also coach in functional fitness and am with a nutrition background and base. However, my cooking experience has come from the United States Army. So again, for today, Laura's going to be doing majority of the cook. So I'm lucky enough, and I definitely would recommend this to anybody. 12 years ago, I decided to meet and then after marry a chef. So today I get to be the sous chef, but for today it's Laura, my wife.
Hi, I'm Laura. I went to culinary school at our local community college, and it's a year program. Before that, I just grew up loving to cook and bake. I used to spend Christmas season baking with my grandmother, and any other time she let me in her kitchen. And then she showed me a bit how to cook, and so did my parents. And I grew up helping them in the kitchen. And like I said, I went to the culinary program, and it was great. And after that, I worked in a bakery for a few years. And from there, I went to corporate dining with Sodexo for 8 to 10 years. And I also worked in catering and stuff like that. And now I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I do all the cooking for the family. And yeah, let's get started. A decent-sized pan. And then a pot for your sauce. And can opener to open your sauce. So now I'm going to hand it over to Joel quick. He's going to teach you how to cut the chicken.
So what we're doing is trimming the chicken to cut the fat off, cut the items off on a breast of chicken. What we recommend, and if this is already done, great. What we recommend for chicken is, there's so many different varieties of chicken out there. What we look for is what we call no chicken or never ever chicken. So it's chicken that's never had antibiotics, never had hormones, which is better to digest and better for the body. Free range chicken is good. Organic chicken is good. But again, one of the main things we look for is the no antibiotics, no hormones. It's less for your body to fight prior to taking the nutrients out of the chicken. So it just makes your digestive process that much better and that much healthier. All yours.
I like to just follow that little line and trim this up. And I always cut mine in half because then you get more pieces and it's a lot easier to pound.
You are new and you missed it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to just come off mute to ask it. So no pressure here. That's welcome.
All right, and before we start out pounding out the chicken, we're gonna start our sauce quick, because if you don't have sauce, you're not gonna have a very good chicken parm. Do you want to move the camera?
Yeah, to the stove?
Yeah, I don't want to mess with it. Here, I can move it front to show them, I think. And then I'll move it in the back so it's out of the way. So, like I said, I'm just using a small can because I had made sauce ahead of time. So you just put it in, and I do a little bit of basil. I usually measure kind of by the cap, and you can do yours to how you like it. You put a little bit like this and just kind of sprinkle it across the top. And same with my oregano. My ratio is I do a little bit more oregano to basil.
I do have to add in, as Laura's cooking, you're going to find she uses a lot of, I use more than, I use less than, a little bit less in the measurements. Something we thoroughly recommend. Looking at recipes online, recipes, places like that, you have specific amounts of garlic that you're going to add, oregano, basil, whether you're going to add fresh oregano, fresh basil. One of the things I'm lucky for is that we do everything at home by taste, because that makes it truly authentic to who you're dining with.
and then give it a stir, and you can just put it on low and let it do its thing. And then once it warms up, I'll taste it, and I usually add a little Parmesan to it at the end for flavor. But other than that, if it tastes all right, I don't do anything else to it. And you can also buy organic. You can make your sauce from scratch, which we could always do another time. But if I can, I try to get no sodium sauce. We didn't have any available, so I just bought regular unseasoned sauce. And if you are kind of nervous about making your own sauce, you can also always look in your organic section or the regular section and just try to find a jarred sauce that's pre-made that has like the least amount of ingredients possible. All right, so give that another stir, and I'm actually gonna move that to my back burner so we don't knock it.
Hey, really quick, does anybody have questions on sauce? No?
Okay, so next we are going to pound the chicken. And I'm gonna leave mine right on my cutting board. It makes it a little bit easier. And if you want, you can put down, some people use saran wrap. Try not to buy that too much just because it's not environmentally friendly. So I use foil or parchment paper. And then you just kind of line up your chicken. We'll do that for now. And I get a little salt and pepper and just season the chicken on both sides before I pound it out. You just have to give it a little sprinkle. You don't want it to be over salted. And we use ground pepper. And then just get a fork and flip them. And we'll season the other side.
Question, is there a reason you're seasoning prior to pounding them out?
Gets the salt and the pepper in there, give it a little more flavor. Cover it up. And I like to use the small part of the mallet because this can be a little rough. You're just using little tiny pieces of chicken. You don't want to over pound it because then you could actually like tear the chicken. Only thing with parchment makes it a little bit harder to see.
Does anybody else have way too much fun doing that? Because I do.
And it's really great. You're having a bad day. Come home, make yourself some chicken parm. Pound out all your frustration.
Why do we pound the chicken out?
To make it more tender. Good question.
It also speeds up your cooking time because you've increased the surface area of the protein.
That's correct as well. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm going to get our egg. And I'm gonna start out with 2. these up.
Oh, Laura, actually, Mary on here just said that she didn't thaw her chicken in time, so she's gonna make eggplant parm. Can you let us know, are there like some other things you could always make this with if you needed to?
Definitely eggplant. And you know, I've actually never tried making it with anything other than chicken or eggplant, but I think you could probably do zucchini would work well because it's almost the same type of texture as eggplant. Now I'm gonna have to experiment with that and try.
If you can get a low moisture block of tofu as well, you know, that's another option as well. As long as you're slicing it about a 1/4 inch to a little bigger than a 1/4 inch, so you have enough so that it doesn't cook all the way through and doesn't make it too thick. And some of the reasons why we do chicken parmesan too is there's so many ways to make it. We go with a semi-healthy way to make chicken parmesan, and you can always go healthier. You know, switching from chicken to zucchini. Again, it's healthier depending on what your goals are. You know, switching from flour, which I know Laura's putting in now, which we're using all-purpose flour. You can use gluten-free flour. You can use different types of flour. You know, the eggs are really the binder. And it's not what you want to use. If you're uncomfortable using eggs, you can always do a grilled chicken parm to where the sauce goes on after it's cooked.
All right, so I always like to season my flour a little bit, do a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper again. Just, you want to layer your flavoring, so that way as you're eating it, you kind of go through the flavors. And then same with the panko crumbs, we'll do just a little bit of salt and some oregano. A little bit of basil. And a little garlic. Now when I make my sauce, I sometimes use fresh garlic and saute that in oil before I add my sauce to it, but I didn't do that today. And then you just want to get your, here we go. Get your fork and kind of stir it up a little bit. And then I'm going to bread all the chicken first and put it on a plate. And after that, we're going to put it in the pan and start cooking. So you want to make sure your chicken's completely coated. Just shake it out, put in your egg.
This is another one of those great spots where our kids help out tremendously in the breading process.
Yes. My daughter actually helped me do the breading for some of the chicken I did this morning. You want to make sure you have egg all over your chicken because that's, again, your binder to keep those breadcrumbs on.
And one of the reasons we went with, we go with panko breadcrumbs. I'm sure most people are aware panko breadcrumbs it's a Japanese breadcrumbs. It's white bread with a crust cut off, just like we like our fluff and peanut butter sandwiches. So just the white part of the bread. But what it does is it allows less grease to come into the chicken, to the breading of the chicken. So it actually makes it slightly healthier than using a normal breadcrumb.
And just kind of give it a shake. Set it on the plate here. How's everyone doing so far?
Doing good. And Laura, we actually just had 2 other people just hopped on. So you want to give them a quick little spiel just to let them know where we're at and what's up?
Okay, so hi to those who just jumped on. We are in the process of breading our chicken. Before that, we started, first thing you want to do is make your sauce and put that on low and warm it up. And then you want to cut and pound your chicken and then start with your breading, which you put your chicken in the flour and then egg and then the breadcrumbs.
If you have questions at any time, please feel free to just hop off mute. We're being interactive here.
You know, this is like the quietest my house has been in a long time. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm not, like Joel was saying, we kind of do everything to taste. When I cook, I kind of just open the cabinet and look at what I have, go through the fridge, look what I have, and then just kind of throw stuff together.
Harold, yes, the recording will be available afterwards, so no worries there. And it's on the Team Red, White, and Blue YouTube channel, and we'll also send you an email tomorrow if you need that.
And then one of the fun things we said, like we talked about today, we're using canned sauce because that's what we have at home and that's how we cook with what we have. But when we get the opportunity to see some great produce, and as I mentioned last week, you know, one of the things that we do each week as a family is we go to the produce store and pick all our produce out for the week in person. You know, and this week they had heirloom items, which you can see here, which are great for making your home tomato sauce. If not familiar with heirloom, heirloom is a pre-1950s DNA. So it's kind of like that ugly produce. But it takes away everything that's been done to make produce perfect. So a lot of tomatoes you see will be a perfect round, ruby red tomato. That's not necessarily the way the DNA was originally made for the tomato. So these are some nice little heirloom tomatoes. You're gonna get a whole bunch of sweetness in it, you know, and some good organic garlic to kind of put in your tomato sauce. So always fun way to do that and to increase that cooking is, you know, getting what you can get that's fresh and local at the produce market and then using it in your cooking for the week.
So one thing I think I forgot to mention when we were doing our ingredients was cheese. So I have low moisture part skim mozzarella and I also have fresh mozzarella. And I'm going to be doing both today and just to see kind of what the difference is. Like my biggest critics are my kids, so I want to kind of see what they think. And now we're going to start sauteing our chicken.
Over here.
Yeah.
There, that's the camera's going to move.
Laura and Joel, we actually got a question too. If you need to be gluten-free, what's something else they might be able to do if something for the breadcrumbs?
You can do gluten-free breadcrumbs, or you can take, if you can't find any, you can get gluten-free bread. And I just can make it kind of like if you've ever made croutons, chop them up, put a little oil, your seasoning on it, and then bake them in your oven until they're crispy, and then let them cool, completely dry out, and then you put them in like a blender and just grind them up, and you can use that as breadcrumbs, and then use gluten-free flour as well. All right, so
Either as long as you're subscribed to the Healthy Habits track, you'll get that email automatically. And if you're not, you can sign up at teamredwhiteandblue.org.
We'll also drop our email addresses into the chat too. So if there's any questions you have specific, Laura and I are both available via email too.
so today I'm using avocado oil to sear our chicken. I'm just gonna let the pan heat up a minute.
Looking at oil, so again, we'll use avocado oil or sometimes grapeseed oil. Something important when looking for oil, you know, I grew up on canola oil, Crisco and all the good stuff, is smoke point in oil. You know, an avocado's got a high smoke point. And what that means is the nutrients in the oil will last through higher heat. So you're going to get the benefit of an avocado oil. The benefit of being from the avocado will still be there when your dish is prepared versus a canola oil where any benefits from that would have been smoked away or seared away.
And Laura, I actually think I missed it. What temperature should we be having this skillet at?
Okay, well, we have an electric stove, so right now I have it set to a 6, so a little bit medium high. You don't want it too hot because you don't want to burn it, but if you have it too low, it's not gonna get that nice sear on it either. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. And then preheat your oven to 350 as well, because you're gonna finish it in the oven. So I have my chicken here, all ready to go. Stick it in the pan. Get this going. Slow sizzle. So around now is when you're gonna wanna stir your sauce, give it a taste, see how it's doing.
I'm cooking, Jennifer.
Get a little tasting spoon.
I think Kat is also cooking. I see her moving around.
Sauce is good. And then like I said, I like to finish my sauce with a little Parmesan. It just gives it some extra flavor. And we buy just a chunk of Parmesan and we grate it ourselves. Joel's getting our cheese ready. So I actually have a pan already cooked up and Joel's adding the cheese to it. Now my chicken's sizzling. You just kind of want to pick it up, check on it. You want a nice brown sear to it. And while you're waiting for that, you can get yourself a pan And you're gonna put your spinach sauce. First, I always spray the bottom of my pan with a little cooking spray, just so that you're not having to scrub since this is gonna go in the oven. And then we'll have our oven here and ready to go. So once our chicken is all cooked up. And if it seems like it's getting a little too hot, you can turn it down a little bit too.
Are you cooking the chicken all the way through, or are you just trying to brown the chicken?
Nope, I'm just trying to brown the chicken. We're gonna actually, you'll finish it in the oven at 350 until it reaches 165.
And just a side note, if you guys are making this now or if you're planning on making it later, if you post it with RWB Take Flight, that hashtag, we can all see it and check each other's stuff out. So you can also see it in the app too.
Another option I know people go for is dairy-free as well. There is some great dairy-free cheese. Anything based with almonds will tend to melt very well in a conventional oven. So quick recipe, if you're ever looking at soak almonds in olive oil for about, or soak them in water, sorry, for about 24 hours, mix it together with olive oil, salt, and pepper in a nice blend, and you'll get a nice creamy, like almonds, almost almond ricotta cheese, which will work and taste well with this as well.
Next thing, once it's all seared, we're just gonna take a little sauce, pour it over the top. Just spread it out. And then we'll finish with our fresh mozzarella. You can just pull it apart.
Trying to catch back up to this team Norway. And the French with our front with Julius and
Sprinkle a little. Give that a try. Get this out of the way. And then you're gonna pop them in the oven. And I usually set a timer for about 10 minutes. And I'll let them bake. And then I will check them and flip them. Turn the pan around. And then while you're waiting, kind of clean up a bit. Want to clean up a bit and wait for our chicken. I have one in the oven, but it's not.
We tried for that picture perfect cooking show where you pull out the finished dish directly out, and we missed it by a couple minutes, so it is almost out. While we have any time, are there any questions at this point on the process? We're almost done with chicken parmesan.
Yeah.
So
And if you want, you can serve it with pasta, or if you're not a pasta person, you could bake a spaghetti squash and use spaghetti squash, or garlic bread, anything you want, or a salad. We usually do pasta and sometimes garlic bread.
I hadn't even
You
thought
flip
about putting it on
the
this.
chicken after 10 minutes. How much longer do you need to?
I love the spaghetti squash.
I grew them.
Oh, awesome. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
After you flip them after 10 minutes, how much longer do you have to cook?
I usually put it in for about another 5 to 10. I keep an eye on it and then I just temp it. So once it hits 165, you're good to go.
I've got a question. I'm just asking this for anyone who might be watching this later, but what are some of the things that can kind of go wrong with this, and kind of how can you adjust or think on your toes if that happens?
Well, if you're not careful, you could burn your sauce. So you always want to make sure that's on low, and start that first so that it cooks low and slow. I actually did my batch in a tiny crock pot that we have, then there's less chance for error. And make sure that when you're pan searing your chicken, that you have the temp not too high so you're not burning that either. And just kind of improvise. If you go to make it and you realize you're missing something, my favorite thing is Google. If I go to make something and I notice I'm missing an ingredient and I don't want to run out with the kids, I Google it and see if there's a way that I can substitute.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And the chicken, the first batch is about ready. And this is what it'll look like when it's finished. And we can plate it up. So I did not make any pasta, so I don't have any pasta to put on side with it. Just kind of scoop it out. Plate it up. And then if you want extra sauce, you can take what extra sauce you have, pour extra sauce on it, plate it with your pasta, your garlic bread, spaghetti squash, and then you're done. Anybody have any questions?
That looks delicious.
Thank you. I hope everybody enjoys it.
That was kind of fun. I have never tandem cooked with anyone else before.
It was very fun.
Like trying to keep up with them and make sure everything's running at the same time.
I'm running behind over here, but at least I know what to do.
Yeah, mine's in the oven, so.
Yeah, now you have to play the waiting game. It's ready.
And we cannot wait to see pictures of the finished chicken Parmesan or
Yes.
eggplant Parmesan on the app later today.
Someone's asking, can I cook this in the oven with avocado spray instead of pan and oven? Does that make sense? It's in the chat if you.
Yep. So instead of using a pan to sear the chicken, just cooking the entire chicken in the oven.
I mean, it won't be as crispy. You kind of want to have that crisp to it, but you could I've never honestly tried it. So, I mean, it's definitely something you could try. I would think you would have to maybe bake it without the sauce first, though, in a pan, maybe on a sheet tray, flip it, bake the other side, and then pan it with your sauce and your cheese and bake it.
Yeah, or a similar way is to grill it or bake the chicken itself, and then finish the chicken with the sauce and the cheese, sprinkle breadcrumbs on top. That'll keep it a little bit, the breadcrumbs drier when it goes on top. So cooking fully in the oven might make the breadcrumbs a little bit soft.
Yeah.
And Laura's sauce came out a little bit thick, and she wanted to know what something in the future she could do to thin it out if she needed. She put it,
Just add a little water.
Cool.
Yep. I usually just take like the can and kind of rinse the sides with a little bit of water swirled around, and I'll pour it in if it's too thick. And then you're also getting that extra sauce out of the pan or out of the can. Good. Does anyone have any other questions?
everyone's hungry. That's what I'm seeing on there. Great. Well, I guess Laura, if I might stay on because I'm still cooking in case the other people who are bearing with us. But is there anything else you'd like to say before people hop off if they're going to make this later?
Well, one, I hope you enjoy it. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot Joel or I an email and we will happily answer them. And just have fun with it. I know some people are very nervous about cooking, but just have fun with it and don't stress yourself out too much. It's food and there's always a way to fix it. I mean, as long as you didn't really crucially burn it, but I mean, just enjoy the time with your family.
Yeah. And if it's like falling off the wagon, if you do mess it up, there's always Uber Eats.
Yeah.
So. But I think that's the same. Have fun. Like we enjoy it. We make it. There's 4 of us in this house, and we make it a family affair every time we cook. The kids are involved somehow in either seasoning. I'm involved in tasting. And there's a full team effort. So enjoy it and have fun with the family.
Thank you.
Thank you.